Hi, magandang hapon. Sandali lang po ha, mag-share lang po muna tayo. As soon as I find my screen guard, please. Kamusta po ang lahat? I hope you're having a good weekend. Hihingi po ako ng paumanhin na hindi tayo nakapag-live. Last time, oh my goodness, bakit ganun? Yan, hindi tayo nakapag-live last time kasi nga po, bakit nga ba? I'm trying to remember why. Hold on. I'm checking my ano. Hindi pa po ako nakakakuha ng ano, ng code. For some reason, hindi nag-update yung aking ano, yung holy cow, what's going on? Sandali lang po ha. Bakit ganun? Nawala yung aking mga codes. Dali lang po. Maraming nanonood from ano, teka, mag-share muna tayo. Para dun sa mga nanonood, huwag po kakalimutan mag-like and share. Hindi po mabuksan yung StreamYard ko dito on my laptop for some reason. So, bahala na. We're gonna wing it today. So, there we go. Now, huwag po kakalimutan, like and share. Share. Okay. Malamig na umaga, nanonood si Cesar sa Riyadh. Kiwi Ludovice says hi. Ay, so nakapag-share na po ba tayong lahat? I'm trying to log into my StreamYard para hindi ko makuha yung code namin. So, hang on sandali lang po. Naku, humihingi po ako munang paumanhin na hindi ko kaagad na nauumpisahan ito. What's going on? Sabi ni Grace, today nabasa ko puro posts about BBM. Sino yung ano daw po nagawa ni BBM? Well, he was a senator after all, di ba? But why is this an issue? Ayun. Ano yung hinahanap nila? Exactly what do they mean by anong nagawa? Kasi pag sinabi mong anong nagawa, the implication being that there has to be something tangible na nagawa. I assume that a simple he was senator, he had filed several bills, several, I think one or two of which became a law. Pero natapag-usapan na rin po natin dito na hindi dapat ah, hindi dapat, how do you call this, ang be all and end all ng achievements ng isang senador ay magre-rest doon lamang sa sa how many bills or laws had actually been passed. Dahil collegial po ang body ng Senado, then automatically uh, yung basta okay, uh, automatically the achievement is by the Senate itself, hindi lang ng isang tao. Although yung isang tao ang nagpo-propose ng legislation at tinatrabaho nila yon. Gayon pa man, hindi yata fair na kapag wala kang naipasa na batas, ibig sabihin wala kang nagawa. Although si BBM meron naman na naipasa na batas. Yan. Okay. So, there we go. All right. So now I can see my screen. All right. So, today, mag-update tayo. Hingi nga po ako muna ng paumanhin na hindi ako nakapag-live last weekend. I was just really so busy doing other work at saka updating myself para dun sa program for the coming week na hindi po ako nakapag-live talaga. So, what are we talking about today? Well, of course, the news of the week is primarily na hindi na nga po, nag-withdraw daw po. Well, nag-statement of intention to withdraw si Senator Bong Go. And before we continue with that. Naku, maraming salamat. Ang daming nagpapadala dun sa ating super chat ni Lalayog. Maraming salamat po, Sir Nathaniel Quintos, JJ Kojima, at saka si Rolando Plaza. Tinatanong ni Rolando Plaza, will PRRD endorse someone? If yes, we do think it will be. PRRD doesn't have to endorse anyone. In fact, bahagi ng update natin yan. Ngayon, naaalala nyo na si Senator Bongo, si Senator Bongo ay Yoshi! Si Senator Bongo po ay nag-statement of intention to withdraw his candidacy as president. Alright. Ngayon, of course, people are saying, pag nag-withdraw siya, sino ngayon ang i-endorso ng ating Pangulo? But, can you see what this also does? Habang hindi pa actual yung withdrawal, pero meron ng commitment si Senator Bongo na hindi na siya tumatakbo, meaning his name is still in there, and theoretically, he's still a candidate, he has declared his intention na he's not running anymore. In other words, hindi na siya mangangampanya. Bahala na si Batman. Meron ba tayong nakikita na na even yung mga leading candidates, halimbawa BBM Sara, we know that they are still very toughing it out and campaigning. Maraming salamat kay Ma'am Grace Hiroshima. So, ibig sabihin, just because you're in the lead doesn't mean you stop campaigning. But Senator Bongo has declared his intention to withdraw and therefore is stopping his campaign. Although his name is still there, by virtue of the fact that he is still officially a candidate, pwedeng hindi mag-endorso ang presidente. Do you see how this balances out? So the president doesn't have to endorse anybody, and now Senator Bongo has declared his withdrawal from the race. His name is still there, so napapako yung presidente, hindi siya mag-endorso. So, and in the meantime, naka-withdraw na si Senator Bongo. So, I think this is kind of an elegant solution na on paper, he's still a candidate, so the president cannot endorse anybody, pero hindi na siya nangangampanya at hindi na siya naghahabol ng presidency. Sabi ni Augie Paps, magandang tanghali, I'm solid BBS but I admire your opinion and commentary about political issues we're having now. Yes, because we don't really like, iba to eh. This is not 2016 where it was President Duterte against everybody else. This time, they are mas nuanced. Hindi ganun kadali, hindi black and white yung mga nakikita natin na issues. So we have to be fair. Even as we were fair before, in panahon ni Duterte, it was easy. It was easier kasi it was him against the world. So take on all comers. Now, it's not that easy because there are some people, like if you're on one side, on the BBM Sara side, you don't really like to bash President Duterte. He is, after all, Mayor Sara's father. And has in fact managed this country quite well in the past 5 years. We are firmly on the side of the government. So if you're on the part of Senator Bongo and President Duterte, you cannot even speak badly against the uni team, because after all, Mayor Sara is the daughter of President Duterte, and BBM has done nothing to antagonize, well, at least nothing that we can see, to antagonize this administration. Okay. Eto, si Harry marunong din pagkadinig sa name na BBM, tumahol BBM. Solid ako, sabi niya. No, may tao in the other room, they're fixing the lights. So, let's not read too much, let's not read too much into my dog's insistence on being noticed. Can a private citizen file a disbarment case against Attorney Te for giving misleading evidence on BBM-BP case just to gain public attention or sympathy? Yes, actually, anybody can. But you have to have grounds. And it's important that your grounds means this lawyer knew that this was wrong and that he was doing it anyway. But it's possible that Attorney Te did not know that that PBM had in fact already paid his taxes. So let's go into that issue. Naglabas po ng balita na si Attorney Te had made a manifestation to the COMELEC at sinasubmit niya yung certification ng Regional Trial Court na si BBM did not file his compliance to the directive of the Court of Appeals. Ibig sabihin, nung nagdesisyon ang Court of Appeals, sinabi ng hukuman na bayaran mo to Although wala tong tax evasion, bayaran mo kasi may kulang. At pangalawa, kaya hindi yan tax evasion kasi nga walang notice. Normally yan, kapag nagkulang ka sa taxes o dun sa records ng BIR, teka, hindi nagbayad dito ng taxes, papadalang ka ng notice, bibigyan ka ng pagkakataon na mag-comply. So, sinasabi ng CA, okay, since kulang yung taxes mo, although this is not tax evasion, ang failure mo is to failure to file tax return, bayaran mo yung mga kulang na taxes. Right? So, ang sabi ng Court of Appeals, okay, but the Court of Appeals, hindi sila yung tatanggap ng bayad. Obviously, you have to pay with the BIR. Pero, yung compliance ba nun isasubmit sa CA? Hindi po, kasi appellate court siya, ang paglilitis ay ginawa dun sa RTC. So, the compliance has to be filed with the regional trial court. O, dun sa mga nagsasabing mali naman ng na bakit hinahanap sa RTC and so on. Because, after BBM had paid his taxes, his lawyers should have filed a compliance with the regional trial court. Lalagay lang nila compliance, tapos ikakabit nila yung mga resibo to notify the court na tapos na po yung obligasyon nila at nasunod na nila to the letter yung CA decision. Does this mean that BBM did not pay any taxes because the RTC says that there is no compliance filed with them? No, not necessarily kasi pwede naman patunayan ni na BBM through the receipt at saka through the certification issued by the BIR na bayad na po yung taxes. Pero yung sinasabi ni na attorney Te is that he should have filed a compliance with the regional trial court. It isn't that he failed to pay his taxes, but that he should have filed the finished the pleading informing the RTC na bayaran na po, na nag-comply na siya at sumunod na siya sa order ng Court of Appeals. So, what could possibly be the repercussions here? At the most, the worst that could happen is that Attorney Te could ask the regional trial court to cite BBM in contempt for failure to file his compliance, but not a failure to file taxes. Okay? Now, ang failure to pay taxes po, yun po ang magpapaano sa kanya, mapapahamak siya, di ba? So, if hindi siya nakabayad talaga, then ang mangyayari doon is, the BRR should have filed a writ of execution. So, hindi pa rin ito yung remedyo, no? Kasi sino ba yung party na dapat binayaran? Dapat yung BIR. Kung hindi nagbayad si BBM, ang BIR magfa-file yan sa Regional Trial Court at sasabihin na RTC, hindi po ito nagbayad, so pahingi na lang ng writ of execution. So mag-i-issue ng writ of execution yung RTC at i-attach yung mga property ni BBM para yun ang mag-satisfy ng kakulangan niya doon sa taxes. Okay. So, ano yung ginagawa ngayon ni Attorney Te? What they're trying to do is make it seem that BBM has been lax in paying the taxes. Kasi nga committed na sila dun sa committed na sila dun sa kanilang assertion na hindi siya nagbayad ng taxes. So, I hope that answers your question. Yes, any person can file a disbarment case, but I don't think this is disbarable offense, no? Kasi hindi naman sinasabi ni Attorney Te exactly na si BBM ang hindi nagbayad. Ang sinasabi niya is hindi na-file yung compliance. So, or hindi sila nag-file ng nararapat na pleading dun sa RTC para ipakita na tapos na po yung kanilang obligasyon sa Court of Appeals. Sabi ni James Bond, what was Marcos convicted for? For failure to file income tax return. What if BBM wins? Then this disqualification case will be upheld. Who will become president? The vice president. Ganito po kasi yon. Kapag during the elections and anytime prior to proclamation, so it's what we call pre-proclamation controversies, kapag na-disqualify yung isang kandidato, then the next highest votes will become the president. The person who had gotten the next highest votes will become the president. But if it is after proclamation, then he or she becomes disqualified, then the vice president will ascend to the presidency. Okay. Para dun sa mga nag-speculate, sabi ni Ma'am Mirna, I think strategy lang ni Duterte to show people around him that he has no bias with BBM. Let's face it. May mga nakaaligid kay Duterte na talagang anti-Marcos and they want to push their own interests, etc., etc. Okay, but guys, please understand that it was not President Duterte or the administration who filed this case of disqualification against BBM. It was Sina Aternite and the Yellows. So let's not mix up those two. Uh, uh, Sabi ni Fali Gako, nakakaasa nga ang mga yan. Mantakin mo, mga victim daw ng martial law, tapos ang reklamo nila, hindi nagbayad ng tax si BBM. Ang gulo nila, takot na takot talaga silang manalo si BBM. Well, actually, all they have to do is prove their standing as voters. And as voters, any voter can actually question the qualifications of a candidate. So, hindi po yun. I think, ang pinaparamdam nila is that to the voters as well, and to BBM, that they're not going to stop. Hindi ko mo but he has gotten to the point na people are more accepting of the Marcoses, uh, manalo matalo, hindi nila titigilan yung pagka-question kay BBM. That is their message here. Guys, remember BBM and his family are not vindictive even after hundreds of cases filed against them. Relax, BBM has an army of lawyers, including Estelito Mendoza himself. Bakit? Sino ba worried? Thank you for dissecting political issues. Dapat kasi beforehand pa nila na-file yung mga issues against BBM. Why is it now only timing during the election period? Well, because the law doesn't disallow it. In other words, it's a valid question to raise, pero it doesn't mean that the case can be dismissed simply because it was filed only now. Diba? Hindi siya prescribed. In other words, pwede niyong erase yung issue na, o bakit ngayon lang, kung prescribed na yung period. Halimbawa, yung 5-day period for filing the cancellation of certificate of candidacy. Yon pwede natin i-question yon. Pero yung bakit ngayon lang, sinabi na ng Supreme Court, it doesn't matter. Sabi ni Jake Arzobal, I like listening, very informative. Excuse me, not biased. What you see is what you get. Keep it up watching from Sacramento, California. Thank you for your super chat. JV De Castro says, yung mga inaakusan nila billion, ninakaw ng mga Marcoses, bariyang tax ang ikakaso nila. Ganito po kasi yon, okay? Remember, the flip side of the coin. Yung mga fina-file, halimbawa natin kay Maria Ressa and so on, sinasabi ng iba na bakit ito yung fina-file, maliliit na kaso and so on, perjury, etc. Well, because there was basis to do so. Dito kay BBM, they have the impression that there's basis to do so. Sabi ni Xian Tian, sa dami na nag-file sa COMELEC, kay BBM ng disqualification, sino po sa tingin niyo bibigyan ng pansin? I think it's the person who's going to raise the interpretation of the NIRC as their ground. Yung interpretation na yon is kung masasabi ba natin na disqualified si BBM because he has perpetual disqualification because he violated a provision of the NIRC. So merong provision kasi sa National Internal Revenue Code na nagsasabing pag na-convict ka of any offense under the NIRC, may perpetual disqualification yon. But this clashes with the other decisions of the Supreme Court regarding for instance, with BBM, sinabi walang moral turpitude dito. But usually, ang perpetual disqualification kasi kailangan lang itahi yun dun sa moral turpitude. So, usually, ang perpetual disqualification, moral turpitude yun, normally. So, yun ang pagtutuunan na pansin because it requires the Supreme Court to define or to redefine exactly what the NIRC meant. Kasama ba dyan yung conviction pagka failure to file tax return lang. So, yun po ang bibigyan ng pansin. Most likely. Okay. Grabe, kakaumpisa pa lang natin, dami ng spammers kagad, kakainis. What if BBM becomes independent candidate and PDP party adopt him as a standard bearer? Now, why would he become an independent candidate? Tatanggalin siya dun sa kanyang party? Kakaroon ng kaso yun sa COMELEC muna. Ating Misteriosa says, the problem for BBM to become our next president, the Paglinawan and all his critics will not stop doing their antics to let BBM fall down again, maybe. Yes. I think they're very clear that that's what they intend. Thank you kay Ma'am Liza, 89. Tatanong ni Russell, example po kami mga citizen voters na gusto imboto si BBM, pwede po ba kami gumawa ng file ng campaign signature laban sa mga nag-file ng DQ kay BBM? Pwede po ba namin i-demanda din sila? For what? Ano yung offense nila? Hindi po offense ang mag-file ng disqualification complaint. No, Yoshi. Sa tingin mo, attorney, anong chance ng mga final na disqualification laban kay BBM kung ikaw ang taga-COMELEC? May grounds ba to BBM based sa mga final laban kay BBM? I think that yung sa NIRC case might require going up to the Supreme Court. Pero as disqualification, possibly, medyo mahirap eh. Medyo mahirap. Sa ngayon, sa nakikita ko ngayon, I'm not privy to other evidence that was submitted. Pero dun sa nakikita ko, aakyat ito ng Korte Suprema at dun talaga magkakaalaman. Thank you kay Ma'am Marina Suzuki. Nisilip po nila may erasure sa date ng resibo, yung date ng pagbayad ng December 2001 at yung pagpasa nila ng papel sa BIR January 2001 instead of 2002. Yeah, but does it really matter? Ano yung worst possible case nga na pwede dito is that the BIR, which is the party here, could complain na bakit hindi nag-file ng compliance si BBM. Pero what do they care? Nagbayad na ng kakulangan sa tax si BBM. Or posible yung court sabihin, contempt kayo, show cause order, bakit hindi kayo nag-file ng compliance, bayad na pala kayo. But that's not going to disqualify BBM. Natanong ni Joel Carrasco, meron bang kaso na na-convict si BBM, administrative, civil, o criminal? Unang-una, ang conviction po sa criminal case lang. So wala po siyang, as far as I know, ito lang po ang conviction niya. But this is as far as I know. I don't know if anybody has done any deeper research. So, conviction is only for criminal cases. Sabi ni Microsoft, if failure to file ITR sa ground for disqualification, marami tayong masasagasaan. Yes, but only if you're running for public office. Sabi ni Jessie Gadi, proven na acquitted sa CA at nagbayad siya ng penalty sa BIR. What do you mean by proven? Acquitted siya sa CA, you only need to show the decision. At nagbayad siya ng penalties. Yung proof po na yan is if somebody raises it. O ganito yan, ha? For you, that is evidence. Kumbaga, not proof. Proof, submit mo yan sa hukuman. Yan. This is evidence that he had in fact paid. So, for purposes of social media discussions, as far as we're concerned, bayad siya. But, it's possible that as far as the court knows, hindi pa siya bayad. So, ang kailangan lang gawin is to file his compliance. Ano bang klase yung mga attorney yan? Well, ganito. Hindi dapat rin tayo masyado magalit because as far as we know, ganyan naman talaga ang gagawin nila, hahanap at hahanap ng butas. So, as far as they know, hindi nga final yung compliance with the RTC. But does that mean na may crime involving moral turpitude dito o madi-disqualify ba si BBM for this? Hindi po. Nakakasal na lang siguro sila. Sabi ni Flavie, in short, nabubwisit, abala lang talaga yung mga nag-file sa COMELEC ng DQ kay BBM. No, not necessarily. Okay? Kasi nga, baka valid yung pag-raise nila ng issue tungkol dito sa sa perpetual disqualification na nakalagay po sa National Internal Revenue Code. May possibility ba matanggal si BBM sa PFP? Sa partido kasi nagrereklamo yung dating president. Well, it will depend. Ano yung grounds niya? Diba? Kasi ganito yan eh. kung i-question nung dating presidente ng partido yung membership ni BBM dun sa partido, may certification na po yung partido and it is the party that will say that. Ngayon, if you're a former president and you're a member of the party, questionin mo, mag-start ka internally doon sa party mo, bakit naging member itong si BBM before going up to the COMELEC. Kasi no matter what, if the party says that BBM is a member, hindi nga pwedeng questionin ng COMELEC yan as long as kumpleto yung pag-file ng requirements. Posible po ba ma-DQ si Madam Lenny kung i-open ang case niya about sa vote buying at pagtanggap ng foreign donations? Yes po. Yes po. Kasi yan talaga, disqualification yan. Considering the survey and popularity of BBM, if he wins the election with a large number of votes, let's say 60 plus of actual total votes, second highest, let's say it's Lenny with only 50%, and assuming BBM is disqualified before proclamation with Lenny's 15% can satisfy the vote. Wala pong vote of confidence. There's no minimum requirement number of votes. So whoever is has the second highest number of votes. Good day, everyone. Should remember we're in 2021 at 1986 and social media to add it up. This kind of buhahas majority of Filipinos don't buy this pink clowns propaganda anymore. Just my opinion. Thank you, Kay Joseph de la Cruz. Okay. Esron says, anong ibig sabihin ng forfeiture case kung saan natalo po sila BBM? May pinagkaiba po bang ill-gotten wealth sa unexplained wealth na wording mismo ng Supreme Court? Well, wala pong, yung unexplained wealth creates a presumption. Ill-gotten wealth is a basis for not just for forfeiture, but for getting all properties back. Hindi lang ito forfeiture. Okay. Meron tayong batas that holds a public official accountable. So kunwari, ikaw public official ka, tapos base dun sa kinikita mo as a public official, yung declared assets mo are so large na hindi mo ma-explain yan based on what you have yung salaries mo. Yung kinikita mo, hindi commensurate. Kinikita mo as a government official, hindi commensurate dun sa naipon mo. So, ano yung ginagastos mo and so on. So, yung sobra na kinita mo, yun po ay magiging subject to forfeiture. May kaso po ng mga ganon. Ngayon, kung forfeiture case, yung na-file po kay BBM, yung certain assets would have been taken by the government to satisfy that, to satisfy yung tinatawag na yung sobra-sobra doon sa forfeiture case. Ang ill-gotten wealth po, usually makikita natin ito sa mga PCGG cases. And PCGG cases are not necessarily criminal cases, so they're civil cases. Nung sa civil case, meron ang ill-gotten wealth, ito ay mga kinita mo resulta ng pagiging official mo or resulta ng pag-engage mo or meron kang mga transaction with government and it would not have been possible for you to have acquired such ill-gotten wealth were it not for your ties with government. So, dalawang klase ang ill-gotten wealth na yan. So, yun po yun. Sabi ni Scooper, di ba kasama sina Lihay-Lihay sa nag-file ng DQ ni BBM? Notions yung DQ nila Lihay-Lihay kay BBM. Nagulat po ako kasi hindi sila dilawan. Sino si Lihay-Lihay? I apologize if I don't know. Notions yung DQ nila. So actually, there's no such thing as a, well, there is, but there's such a thing as a nuisance candidate under election law. Pero nuisance cases, not necessarily. Kasi karapatan ng isang tao mag-file ng kaso. Kapag sa tingin nila na agrabyado sila o merong silang karapatan na nilalabag ng itong taong to. So, may karapatan naman po tayo mag-file ng mga kaso kung karapatan natin ay nalabag. Ngayon, bilang mga botante, meron tayong karapatan na to question certain candidates under our power as because we are voters. As of BBM's plan is to provide cheap electricity to Filipinos, especially the ones located in isolated areas. There's this Filipino who rented the plasma generator, I hope he could help this patriotic citizen. Let's see first, di ba? Yung mga ganyan na the best way to help this person is to evaluate yung invention niya and get people to invest in it. Sabi ni Ma'am Mercedes, how do we send you super stickers? Been wanting to thank you and your sharing sa amin. You always make me think logically before jumping to conclusions. It's not available kasi in all areas. So what you have to do is go down to the dialog box. That's where you type your comment. And there's supposed to be a money sign, like a dollar sign or a yen sign, depending on your location. And you click that one, it'll give you instructions on how to do it. Sabi ni Tony Panilagaw, para sa akin, kahit hindi nga nagbayad diyan ng tax, barya lang yun sa inutang sa mga Marcoses, saka sa cronies niya sa World Bank, saka sa IMF. Kaya wala na pag-asa na makaahon ng Pinas sa kahirapan. Okay, medyo marami ka nasabi doon. Lihay-lihay, kinakamusta ka ng mga OFWs? I still don't understand. Lihay-lihay is a close ally of PDDS Greco-Belgica. Okay. May karapatan naman siya mag-file ng kaso as a voter, if she's a voter. Super sticker is only available on YouTube and it's not available on Facebook. Thank you kay Nicola for clearing that up. O nga pala, baka sa, hindi ko nakita kung sa Facebook yan. Walang kwenta yan, ang hindi nabasa ko na po yan. JV De Castro says ilang beses na si BBM na-elect and won and was given a certificate ng COMELEC na duly elected. He even posted bonds sa VP protest niya, but they didn't question. Parang hindi yata tama. But the Supreme Court has already ruled on these mga filings na ganyan. So even daw, kung nakapagkandidato siya na before, it is still timely to raise it at a subsequent candidacy. Settled na po yung issue na yan. Although you might think that hindi siya tama, it only means, ang sinasabi kasi ng court, it is also possible that you found out about it only later. Sabi ni Andy Friend, PRD forced not to endorse by Go's non-official withdrawal. Yeah, right. Probably elegant to get out of drama they created. But this is either brilliant tactic or the most reckless, in my honest opinion. Can't say I agree with you either way. Sabi ni MacArthur Otto, madidisqualify ba si BBM kung hindi niya nabayaran ang utang nila sa tax ng mga estate ng mga Marcoses worth 200 billion? Well, he is the administrator. Pero kailangan na merong record, tax evasion po kasi, kailangan mag-rule ang court na merong tax evasion. So, until there is an actual ruling na meron siyang tax evasion, wala siyang crime involving moral turpitude. So, ang civil cases for failure to file fines or etc., hindi po counted yon as a crime involving moral turpitude. Sabi ni Palig ako, sa tagal ko nakikinig sa mga live mo, feeling ko ako na rin, attorney na rin ako. Yun nga lang, walang kampanilya, sandok. Okay. De La Vega, Tom, says hanggang kailan po matatapos yung pag-file nila ng DQ until the court rules on it. Huwag po kayong magmadali. Wala naman TRO, hindi naman po napipigilan yung candidacy ni BBM. Bakit po kayo yung naiinip? Hindi naman naaantala ang candidacy ni BBM. Thank you kay Ma'am Mercedes Olavides. Angkol ng bayan says, late pasok ko. May effect ba ang pinalabas ng Quezon RTC sa kandidatura ni BBM? No, because like we said earlier on, hindi lang po sila nakapag-file ng compliance. That's assuming na, yun nga, hindi sila nakapag-file ng compliance at hindi yung court yung nakawala ng records ng compliance na yon. So kung walang compliance, all they have to do is to file their compliance. So we apologize to the court for the late filing of this compliance. I-attach nila ngayon yung resibo at saka yung certification that the BIR received the payment of deficit taxes, the deficiency in taxes, and yun na yun. Sabi ni Priscilla de Venecia, sa Court of Appeals yata na-submit, hindi sa RTC. O di may compliance na. Parang ang pangit ng sagot ni Attorney Vic na di niya daw isusupply yung missing points after tanungin kung di ba talaga nagbayad si Marcos. It's the due diligence na. Ganito. Hindi po kasi tayo yung sinasabihan yan. So, kayo magalit kay Attorney Vic. Most likely, sinasagot lang niya yung mga nagtatanong on behalf of the people who filed. So, kung kunwari, yung media tinanong na, eto, sabi ni Attorney Te, ganito. So, ang sinasabi ni Attorney Vic, obligasyon ko pa ba yan na punuin yung mga kakulangan nila sa impormasyon? Sila yung nagmamasama dyan, pero mali-mali sila. Parang ganun lang. It doesn't mean na nagmamaldita siya sa atin, hindi po. Sinasabi lang niya, it's obligasyon ni na Attorney Te na punuin yung kakulangan nila sa impormasyon. Di ba filing of DQ case is only until the last day of filing of candidacy? Hindi po. Yung mga bagong DQ cases po ba na final are still valid? Those filed within the 5-day period after the filing of certificates of candidacy po. Sabi ni Olive, bakit po lahat na pwede or posible ikaso kay BBM di na po natatapos samantalang yung iba may kaso din like Senator Gordon, parang natatabunan natin di disregard. Just asking po from BBM sa supporters. Well, I guess it really depends on kung sino yung naaagrabyado. So, or feeling naaagrabyado. So, kung yung mga tao have an interest in it, ganito po kasi yan, ano, yung pagpa-file ng kaso will really depend on whose right has been violated. So, yung na-violate ng rights, yun ang dapat nagpa-file. Ngayon, kay Senator Dick, meron na diyang nagpabaya na ahensya. So, if not the SBMA itself, dapat nga yung SBMA ang nagpa-file ng kaso. Kasi sila yung na-notice of disallowance ng COA. And kung sa kanya personally napunta yung mga yon, yung pera na yon, then he should return it to the SBMA. So, ang SBMA po ay medyo natulog sa kangkungan. So, dapat sila po ang mag-file na mag-demand letter kay Senator Dick na isoli na niya yung pera. Sabi ni Karen Minyaw, bakit ayaw i-reveal ni Nate that the non-filing of ITRs are settled in the Court of Appeals? Nakatakbo na ng ilang public positions si BBM, di ba? Any public office ang nakasaad sa batas, so di ba masyadong selective ang DQ attempt na to? Guys, okay, take off your blinders. The question about yung ngayon lang, kasi ako din nagkamali ng ganon, but I saw the Supreme Court decision at sinabi na ng Korte Suprema doon sa kaso ni Halos Fos na dati, disqualified pala dapat siya in the 70s pa lang. Pero na-bring up yung issue na yon when he was running in the late 80s. Sabi ng Korte Suprema, it doesn't matter. If the grounds for the disqualification are valid, then it could be raised at a later time. Di bali na kung nanalo siya before. It doesn't negate that. So you will have to forget that argument. The Supreme Court says, no, it doesn't matter. Ngayon, itong question na bakit ayaw i-reveal ni Nate that the non-filing of ITRs were settled in the Court of Appeals. Kasi this is a matter of defense for BBM. Si BBM ang dapat mag-raise niyan, hindi po sila. Ngayon, ito yung problema. Attorney Te knows that, well, should know better because a simple search of the case will reveal that kung what is stated in the decision of the Court of Appeals. Now, some people have been asking kung maaari ba, some lawyers I know have been proposing that yung mga nag-file ng kaso na ito could be liable, yung mga lawyers could be liable for an administrative case with the Supreme Court for, among other things, they're wasting the time of the COMELEC and so on, for filing a case that on the surface, it looks frivolous. Don de la Santa says, masisira ang integrity ng COMELEC kung i-disqualify nila o kung cancel ang COC ni BBM dahil sa issue ng mga nag-file against him. Ilang beses na kasing kumandidato at nanalo. Again, I will repeat, sinabi na po ng Korte Suprema, hindi po yan isang argument that will negate the filing of a disqualification case. Marami naman pong depensa si BBM, hindi lang po yan. Hindi yan po available na defense sa kanya. Okay, sabi ni Ma'am Karen, thank you for the clarification. May mabigat bang probable cause to DQ-BBM? Ang probable cause po are for criminal cases. This is an administrative case to cancel his certificate of candidacy or to disqualify him. I think that the worst that could happen is that this will require the Supreme Court to define what the NIRC says when it says that if you're convicted of any violation of the National Internal Revenue Code, then you suffer perpetual disqualification. So yun po ang kailangan liwanagin ng ating Korte Suprema. Thank you kay Ma'am Renela Healy. Sabi ni Nikola Tesla, I still can't wrap my head around the phrase natutulog sa kangkungan. Ang sikat kasi sa Bisaya is na mayabas. Uy, I like that. Na mayabas. Kasi, na mayabas sa Tagalog, iba po. Na ano yan, if I'm not mistaken, na maga. Okay. Sabi ni Jovi, need ba i-accommodate ng COMELEC lahat ng DQ cases? Di ba parang redundant na rin yung iba? Kailan dapat maglabas ang COMELEC na dapat ihintunan nila? Wala pong date kung kailan dapat sila maglabas nito. But actually, that's been an issue with the COMELEC ever since. Kasi, merong mga nagfa-file, halimbawa, ng disqualification cases sa pre-proclamation controversy, tapos ang tagal-tagal mag-resolve ng COMELEC, by the time i-resolve nila, nakaupo na yung tao, so ma-affect kung sino yung uupo. See, if the case is resolved before the proclamation, yung second highest votes ang uupo, assuming na manalo ha. Pero kung after, it is in this case the Vice President who will ascend. So, malaking bagay talaga yung kung kailan ilalabas ng COMELEC yung decision nila. But not for purposes of making us feel more comfortable na. Hindi po ganon. This time, sabi ni Allan Sy, pwedeng sakyan ni PRRD and DQ case ni BBM so that Sarah can run for the presidency, which BBM always wanted. Brilliant, di ba? Yes, but remember, he wasn't the one who filed the case. Sabi ni Antonio Doria Marco, I can smell civil war if you disqualify BBM. I think that we should be very careful with our words because BBM doesn't even say that. And in fact, if you'll notice how he talks, it's always very diplomatic and very civil. Now, kung maghihikayat kayo ng revolusyon o makikipaglaban, resulta ng kahit anuman ang maging resulta nito, ito po ay inciting to rebellion. Kaya dahan-dahan po tayo. Okay? Baka po paulit-ulit na baka po yung paulit-ulit na nagtatanong ng same question, baka tilaw pink, sinisira lang nilang mood at beauty mo. Well, they can't do that. Not today. Nahihiya ako sa inyo kasi last weekend hindi tayo nakapag-live eh. Sabi ni Ferdinand Valdez, if BBM will be disqualified, what will happen to the laws which he authored while he was a senator or congressman? Wala po. Kasi may presumption of regularity, tsaka at the time, he was considered a senator. Hindi to mag-retroactive. MacArthur asks, paano po ang mangyari kay BBM kung ma-DQ siya dahil sa DQ complaint ni Mangilin ng PFP? Disqualification ba ang final niya? Or nagka-question siya kung bakit gusto niyang tanggalan ng party si BBM? Iba po yan. Magkaiba po yan. What would happen po if na-print na ballots with BBM's name on it and na-cancel ang candidacy niya or ma-DQ siya? It will not be counted. Ganun lang po yan. Wala pong wala kasing substitution for him. The opposition are busy finding fault in disqualification with BBM. How I wish PRRD's presidency will continue. Well, we love PRRD. Para dun sa earlier na nagtatanong pala, what would happen if na-print na yung mga ballots niya ha? Kasi kung pagka na-disqualify ang isang tao, maaari po siyang i-substitute. Ang voluntary withdrawal, hindi po. So, dun sa disqualified, maaari pong maglagay ng ibang kandidato ang PFP. So, if magbigay sila ng ibang kandidato, yung votes for BBM will be counted for the new candidate. Sabi ni Ian, yung ibang vloggers till now, kinakain pa din ng emosyon nila sa sinasabi ni PRRD. Sabi ni Roel Robles, why is Attorney Te pushing na hindi daw nagbayad si BBM? Hindi na kasalanan ni BBM kung hindi na-inform si BIR regarding payment ni BBM. Ay, hindi po. May certificate naman po yata, I understand, from Attorney Glenn Chong. Ganun na ba kabobo itong attorney na to kahit alam nila? Ganito po yun ha, hindi pwede. Kasi ang bayad will be to the BIR. So meron kayong, meron kayong OR at saka magkakaroon din kayo ng certification from the BIR na bayad po yun. So, hindi pwedeng sabihin na hindi na-inform ang BIR dahil BIR yung tatanggap po nun. Sabi ni Master Adobo, that's why I love this stream. It's really informative. To those fanatics, calm down. Don't let your emotions fill your heads, guys. MAC, Solid SBG, PRRD says, hi. Halimbawa, kung manalo si SBG, makakaupo po ba siya as president kahit sinabi na niyang umatras na siya? Unless he withdraws officially, he will be able to sit. Hingi lang pong advice. My parents died this year. Naku, madam, hindi po dapat kayo nag-a-ask dito sa stream na ito because it's also very dangerous for me to give you advice on the fly like this. Ako po yung mapapahamak sa ganyan and you might not get good advice. So, ganito po kasi yun. If you have, ganito this is an estate case kasi it's about your parents at saka lupa na hindi na-transfer sa pangalan. What you're going to do is, if a filing that certificate with the with the register of deeds para may lien siya, and then you have to settle it with yung mga kapatid ninyo and then magpa-file kayo ng appropriate transfer. Now, all you have to do is get a lawyer. Hindi ko po masasabi kung magkano yan kasi iba-iba po ang rates ng mga abogado. Sabi ni Abel Alinarte, naaalala ko po yung sinabi ni Cory about snap elections. Kapag nanalo daw si Marcos, hindi na daw niya kailangan pigilan ng mga tao upang mag-aklas. Ngayon, the rest is history, 30 plus years na tayo nalugmok sa kanya. Sabi ni Bichino, solid fan ako sa'yo watching here from Norway. Malaki na po bang chance manalo ni Madam Lenny pag nandito si BBM? I don't know. Okay. Attorney PCA, pakiklaro nga po uli yung in any case na ma-DQ si BBM, ano yung option ni Inday Sara para sa vacant post? Well, it depends na po, ano? Kung ang disqualification happens before he is proclaimed as the winner in the next elections, it's the number 2 candidate. If the disqualification happens after he is proclaimed as president, then Inday Sara need not do anything, she will become president. If she wins as vice president. Pero medyo, di ba, hindi ko naiisip yung if she wins kasi sa itak ko panalo na si Inday eh. sorry po, hindi accurate yung kanina. Pwede po bang manawagan ng isang abogado ng revolusyon sa isang caravan? Parang nanghihikayat ng hate kasi po. Hindi dapat talaga naghihikayat ng revolusyon because that is inciting to rebellion. Ito, sabi ni Badchicks, best of luck later kay Samantha Paglilio sa Miss Grand International 2021, Laban Pilipinas. Uy, good point yan ha. Yes, good luck Samantha Paglilio sa laban mo ngayon. Fight for the Philippines. Sabi ni DJ Tan, sorry pero sa tingin ko kung madito si BBM, I doubt mapupunta kay SBG boto ng loyalist at maglalaban yan, iba either si Isko or si Benny. Hi DJ. Well, that is your opinion, di ba? So, and it's worth as much as anybody else's opinion. So, you don't need to apologize. Ano po talaga ang status ng kaso ni BBM? Bakit? Wala naman pong naglalay sa inyo dito sa COMELEC. Bakit di na lang isang bagsak ang complaint para di maabala? Because if the law allows them to file at any time, then they can file at any time. Kahit na na-upset kayo doon. Sabi ni Ma'am Ana, the Commission on Elections has said that the substitution of candidates will be allowed to continue until it is done but only those belonging to a political party or coalition who either died or were disqualified by final judgment. Okay. But COMELEC spokesman James Jimenez clarified that the substitution can only be consummated if the substitute candidate and subpoena have the same surname. Parang mali yan eh. Okay. Bakit sinabi niya that the COMELEC said one thing but the spokesman said another? Ika-clarify ko na lang yan. Napag-usapan namin yan sa Karambola actually. Itong same surname, nararapat yan noon nung hindi pa po electronic yung counting and voting. Kasi ngayon, shading na lang. Ano yun? Kasi that was one of those things that was necessary during the time na write-in pa yung ballots natin. So I think I'm going to have to clarify that later on. Aralin ko lang po muna para mas precise tayo. But the general rule is, pwede po yung substitution of candidates kapag may disqualification or death hanggang sa last day. Sabi ni Joel Hoven, pwede po bang i-substitute si BBM? Yes. As far as I know, I will take a look at the law again because as far as I know, yes. Pero itong sinasabi ni Comelec Fox James Jimenez na kailangan same last name, as far as I know, hindi na siya appropriate for the e-counting. So, let me check na lang. So, nagiging relevant po dito yung pag-file ng disqualification nung dating president ng PFP. Kasi pagka nawala ng partido si BBM, he becomes an independent and therefore cannot be substituted. Yun yung ibig sabihin nun. How about the cancel COC day after proclamation that it will be considered a disqualification case? Or ma-disqualify after PROC, anong mangyayari? Then the vice president becomes the president. Galing naman na singit mo talaga na sagutin ng mga out of topic sa live pero informative pa rin yung sagot. Love you. Sabi ni Apple ng bayan. Sensya na ha. Kay BBM ka ba? Bakit gusto mo si BBM? Tinatanong ni Tony Panilagaw. Why is my choice relevant to you? Ay, matagal na po kami nag-declare, bakit ngayon po kayo nagtatanong? But, okay, regardless of what side I'm going to vote for, I will always be as objective as I possibly can within the limits of my human nature. Okay? But huwag kayong magagalit kung hindi tayo magkasang-ayon, magkapareho ng kandidato. Hindi naman po fair yun. Na como ba't magkaiba tayo, magagalit ka. alpaxthegreat says, do you think it's wise for the Bong Go supporters to campaign for boycott daw ng president at vice president sa election? I think that they can still, ganito no, si Bong Go has not officially withdrawn his candidacy. He's just stopping his campaign. So, kung gusto nila talaga, boto nila si BG. Pero it's not wise to ask for a boycott kasi baka ang mag-boycott yung mga tao na pro-Duterte or pro-administration and therefore a non-administration aligned candidate might win. Not that it's very likely, but that's the possibility. NBA 2K20 says the Comelec cannot, not even the Supreme Court, modify the judgment as it would put him in double jeopardy. Well, modification of judgment is an appeal which is already out of time by this time. It's a form of appeal. So, yung double jeopardy, yes, hindi ka rin pwede mag-appeal ng isang ng conviction. Kasi it's still, well, you can't appeal a dismissal of the case. So, kung i-appeal mo yung tax evasion, double jeopardy yun. May katotohanan po ba na sila Jello Villar, Lito Banay at Vince Dizon ay may connection kay Alan Peter Cayetano? Vince Dizon, we know, used to work for Alan Peter Cayetano. And I think so did Jello Villar. But why is this an issue? Sabi ni Joseph, pag nanalo si BBM, sana kunin niya si Rita Gadi na dating journalist ni Makoyas PCO officer. Kuren says, ang gulo siguro ng Pilipinas pag nanalo si BBM. Dami na kasi nang nanggugulo, di pa nanalo si BBM. Dami siguro mag-arali. Possibly. But, the will of the people must be upheld. Paula Pini says, bakit hindi makulong ang mga nahatulan na like BBM and Imelda Marcos? Kasi naka-appeal po yung si Mrs. Marcos, naka-appeal po yung kaso. Si BBM, tapos na po yung kanyang kaso on taxes. So, hindi naman po siya nahatulan ng kulong. Johan Lee says, ako gusto ko si BBM pero ungas at ungrateful bloody pig ang mga supporters niya. Wagas manira kay President Duterte and good Senator Bongo. The reason na skip na ang skip ko na ang Presidente 2022. I think that he should still vote. You don't have to vote for anybody we like, but I think that you should still vote. Your thoughts on Senator Go announcement of withdrawal and up to now di pa rin nag-withdraw? Pinag-usapan na po namin yan earlier here. Senator Bongo has announced that he has intention to withdraw. I understand that a withdrawal pala has to be filed personally, so he hasn't been able to do that. Ngayon, the nice thing about it is that if he doesn't withdraw, he is still officially a candidate. He's just going to stop campaigning. And therefore, the president doesn't need to endorse anybody because officially he's still a candidate. So, yun na po yun. Ma'am Gina Araneta asks, hindi pa ba sapat ang speech ni Inday Sara na si BBM ang gusto niyang katandem? Galing na nga sa kanya mismo na kay BBM siya. Grabe naman yan, tanggapin niyo na kasi basta ito lang. Madam naman, kahit si Inday Sara, hindi niya pwedeng ipilit ang boto ng mga taong ayaw bumoto ng ganun. Let's also be fair. Okay? Wala naman din sinasabi si Madam Inday na whether you like it or not, iboto na yun. She has always been very diplomatic and very, very civil in her speech. Huwag na po natin gawing kasiraan pa niya yun na it's considered a command vote. She has never been like that. Siya yung type na she knows who the people are who are behind her, and she's endorsing BBM. But an endorsement is a suggestion. It is not a mandate or an order. Your comment about the disbarment case filed against Atty. Gadon by an HIV positive about the comments he made on Carambola. Comments he made at Carambola. I'm trying to remember exactly what he said. The law requires people not to discriminate against those with HIV. So I'm not sure if comments will fall under a discriminatory act. I know magkaibang posisyon, tinatakbuhan nila, pero Gordon, di nagsoli ng pera at Villanueva was convicted at walang nag-file ng DQ cases sa kanila. Do you think maging patas ang Supreme Court to resolve as the ultimate judge DQ case ni BBM? Wala naman sa kanila yung kaso. Bakit ang Supreme Court ang pinag-iinitan ninyo? Maging fair kaya ang COMELEC to hear both sides at manaig kung anong tama. Madam, the fairness and the regularity in the fulfillment of the functions of government agencies is presumed. Kung hindi, wala po tayong pruweba or wala po tayong reason para questionin yung paggawa nila ng tama ng kanilang mandato o obligasyon, then it would be unfair. Diba? To presume otherwise. Ang sabi ng batas, the presumption is of regularity. The presumption is ginagawa nilang tama ang kanilang trabaho. Ginagawa yung trabaho at ginagawa ng tama. So, the presumption is they're going to be fair as well as the Supreme Court. Pero huwag niyo idama yung Supreme Court. Kasi hindi naman pwedeng mag-file ang korte on its own. Kailangan may magreklamo. So, kung walang nagreklamo dito kay Gordon and it should have been the SBMA, then hindi kasalanan po ng Supreme Court yan. Yung sa pag-file ng disqualification dito kay Villanueva, all we need is some person, a voter, to file the case against him. Ang tanong, ma'am, baka kayo gusto ninyong i-file? Diba? So it has to be, any interested party can file the disqualification case against Senator Villanueva. It's not the court's fault. Dapat tigilan na ng mga ibang mamamayan ang panggugulo, magkaisa mga Pilipino para tuloy-tuloy sa pagbabago kasi iisa bansa natin na pinagtatalunan para sa Pangulo. Paano uunlad bansa natin kung lagi na lang reklamo, rally at gulo? Basic, Ma'am Erlinda, ganito po kasi yon. Unang-una, ang pag-file ng kaso ay karapatan kasi kung nalabag ang karapatan nyo, then you must have recourse to the courts. And as voters, meron din po tayong mga karapatan to question the qualifications of our candidates. So, hindi natin pwedeng ipilit ang unity kung ang karapatan natin ay nalalabag. Ganun lang po yun. Huwag po tayo rin na unrealistic in calling for unity. Minsan, tama rin na mag-question tayo. Para sa akin, kung kini-question yung qualifications ni BBM, this makes him stronger later on when he wins. Yeah? Sabi ni MacArthur, may karapatan ba si Inday Sara mag-call ng unity siya mismo hindi sumunod sa utos ng father niya para magkaroon ng unity? Yung call for unity ni Inday Sara is her opinion just as much as it is your opinion to not consider it a valid call. Yun lang po. Pero kung sa batas po, wala po. Wala pong nilalabag kahit sino dyan. Sabi ni Louie, sana, pag nanalo si na BBM Sara, sana pati SOCMED personalities, pwede na sa mga press con, kasi yung mga journalist ay nakakabobok magtanong. Pwede naman po ang SOCMED sa kahit anong press con, hindi lang po kami kinwalify sa Malacanang press con. At ito kasi ay tinutulan ng mga nasa traditional media. Pero tama kayo. Tinanong ni CK Francisco, are you for constitutional reform at 100% FBI? Sino po mga alam ninyong candidate na pro-reform? I refuse to answer this question because certain people who espouse federalist parliamentary system always take my words either out of context or attack me, whether in various fora. So no, I'm sorry, I'm no longer going to answer any questions on federalism at all, ever again. Pag nanalo nabasa ko na pala yun. Bong Go at BBM nga, di nagsasalitaan ng marahas. Kaya kalma lang tayo mga supporter, pantay lang naman tayong lahat na iisa lang ang maiboboto natin. Kaya chill like a 20 PCA, ganyan ang Luminous. Sabi ni Alice Paul Novencido, opposition po kasi is to maintain check and balance to the government. Yes. Pero ang sinasabi natin nitong time ni Duterte is, dapat, kailangan may valid criticism. Pero kadalasan, yung ibang criticism, hindi valid. So, unfair din naman po yun, di ba? Sabi ni Ryan Dabarcads, dami kong nakikita na marami ng sumusuko at nagpapatay na mga NPA. Napapatay na. Bakit hindi pinapalabas sa mga big media para aware ang mga tao na effective ang NPS-LCAC? Because big media has their own editorial policy. Huwag naman po natin i-expect na gagawin nila yung ayaw nilang gawin. Ito, sabi ni Mang Karen, knowing Leonen from the Supreme Court has been unjust, hearing BBM's case sa Pandaraya, nagpapapizza lang favored na kay ina nila. Can you blame the people kung walang tiwala sa Supreme Court kung sakaling aabot ang DQ case hanggang Supreme Court if ever? And why did the Supreme Court still not declare Smartmatic na unconstitutional, nahayagan na ang Pandaraya and BBM was a victim of that? Kung sakali lang po, ang tanong ko kung aabot man sa Supreme Court ang DQ case ni BBM. So, okay, ganito po kasi yon. You find that one case was unfair. I find that that case was also unfair. Nevertheless, it is not fair to remove from the Supreme Court the one and only power that it has. And the only power that the Supreme Court has is the trust that people lay on it to decide the cases and to decide it fairly and to accept their decisions. Tignan mo, kahit masama ang loob natin, tinatanggap natin yung desisyon ng Korte Suprema. Gayunpaman, I would like to point out, hindi pa po yun final. Naka-motion yun, naka-appeal yun sa Korte Suprema. Yung sinasabi ninyong hindi fair was the Presidential Electoral Tribunal. So magkaiba po yun. Hindi pa po nag-decide ang Supreme Court. Sabi ni Iron Bamboo, it's 7:11 a.m. in Switzerland and starting my day with Luminous. Hope you can visit too. Oh, I want to go back. I've been to Switzerland only once. Ganda-ganda dyan. At ang sarap ng cheese. May weight ba ang sinulat ni former CJ Panganiban na maring material misrepresentation ang ginawa ni BBM sa COC niya? No, it is only an opinion issued outside of a court case. So opinions in a court case, yun po ang magkakaroon ng weight. Is this correct? The certificate that Attorney Te has acquired is from the RTC when the court of... Tiniskas nga na po natin yan kanina. Ang sabi natin, the RTC issued a certification that BBM has not filed a compliance. Compliance po yun. So, uh, what he did was he paid with the BIR. May nagsasabi dito na yung compliance was filed with the Court of Appeals which issued the order. Pero dapat actually finailan din at nag-compliance din with the RTC. Pero maliit na bagay po yun comparatively, di ba? Sabi ni Max Tam, di ba contradictory yung statement ni Bong Go na wala siyang ambisyon mag-presidente, then he says it's not his time yet. Di ba yung it's not my time yet implies na you want it eventually. Medyo may hypocrisy lalo na hindi po siya formally nag-withdraw. So, why is it important? Kaya, masama ba pong mag-ambisyon na maging presidente? Masama ba po na sumama ang loob mo because your plans are not going the way they should? Masama ba pong mag-ambisyon later on na lang? Diba? I think that this is your opinion and I will respect that. But I think that your conclusions might be a little, how do you call this? Kumbaga, it's like you're arguing for right and wrong. And there's no wrong when it is simply an ambition to become president. Sabi ni Ma'am Karen, thank you, Saint. Si Ma'am talaga. Idol ko po pa rin kayo kahit our opinions don't align sometimes. Yes, Ma'am. Respect here. Ako din. Respeto din po ako sa inyo. Kasi at least you ask very nicely. Kahit hindi tayo magkapareho minsan ng opinion, hindi nawawala yung inyong politeness dun sa pag-ask. Ayun, sabi ni Yoli Sarmak, respect begets respect. We have our own will and no one can dictate to us sinong gusto nating iboto. Basta ako, BBM Sara ako. O kita niyo. Ibrahim Pangarungan says, do you see the ruling party ultimately getting pressured to endorse a strong and winnable presidential candidate for the purpose of self-preservation? I think that will be difficult for them to do. They can continue and become an opposition party, diba? Sabi ni Abel, nag-unfollow na po ako kay Coach Jarrett at Banat Bay, masyadong toxic. Sa bagay, sino ba? Well, hindi naman kami magsusurvive kung wala kayong mga followers namin, di ba? Pero hindi naman sa wag mo naman dinismolin ang sarili mo. Together, we are very strong, di ba? Max Tam says, wala namang problema if he says he wants it. I don't know what you're talking about. Attorney, pwede pala hindi sundin ni Sen. If BG wants the presidency, oo nga naman. Pwede pala hindi sundin ni Senator Gordon ang utos ng SC na ibalik ang 86 billion even if it was executory na po. Hindi po yan ang sinabi ng Supreme Court. Ang sinabi ng Supreme Court, tama ang COA dun sa pag-assess ng arrears niya na kailangan niyang isoli. Hindi po Supreme Court yung nagsabi na isoli niya. Sabi ni Going Algi, I think in the NPRRD will endorse BBM. Kakalma siguro ang sanlibutan sa social media niyan except ang media. Okay, sabi ni Gilbert, inaantay ko na magalit ka kasi cute niyo pag nagagalit kayo. Yes, but is that fair? Is that even good na you will want me to get angry simply because you think it's cute? Parang how unfair. Pwede bang ma-DQ ang mga party list na identified as communist terrorist ng bayan? Please explain logically. Bakit, sir? Do you presume that I don't explain logically? Gusto ko lang tanongin, i-clarify po ninyo yung please explain logically. Medyo nakaka-trigger yan. DC, ano na yan. Pag nanalo si BBM, sigurado na tayo mawawala na ang 3D Dominguez Duque Dar. Well, definitely, kasi nagbago na yung panahon. Nagbago na yung administrasyon. Kung mangyari po na madiki si BBM and Sar becomes president, sino magiging vice president? Senate President Duterte? No, mamimili po ang presidente from Congress or the Senate. Ba't kaya daming binabatong masasamang salita laban kay SBG at PRRD? Parang wala silang nagawa sa Pilipinas. Hope, respect sa iba kung ayaw sa kanilang mga kandidato. Napansin ko din yan. Thank you for this, sabi ni Mao. I always remind people around me too about the things they speak and watch. They speak and watch your live kahit team replay kasi you discuss things here Not just logically, but also fairly. Thank you. Nabanggit talaga yung logically. Checking in from Sacramento just now, sabi ni Wilson, any chance of having BBM and Sarah join you in Carambola and or Tambayan before Christmas? Well, I'm hoping. I am hoping. Nabasa ko column ni Sir Alex Magno. Ano po masasabi niyo doon? Ano yung rule natin dito, Jemshid? Alam mo yung rule dito, ha? Na kailangan kumpletuhin mo yung tanong mo. So, sasabihin mo, nabasa ko yung column ni Sir Alex Magno, eto sabi niya. Tapos, anong masasabi niyo doon? Kasi I cannot be presumed to guess what you wrote or what you're referring to. Basta ako Monday to Friday, sabi ni Vids Kapati, nakikinig ng karambola, very informative. Tapos kapag lunchtime while eating, 12 to 1, nasa tambayan naman. LMX says every issue, good or bad, seems to redound to BBM's benefit. By the time the campaign officially starts, expect his rating to soar higher than 57%. Sabi ni Ma'am Catherine, bakit kasi pinipilit ng mga tao na tumakbo si Bongo, siya na nga nagsabi hindi siya ready magpresidente. Huwag nang sipilitin yung ayaw. Madam, nag-file na siya ng candidacy niya. So, hindi na pupilitan to. Naka-file eh. Ano po ang kakahinatnan o outcome ng family Senate hearing? Ano po bang legislation ang related na gagawin? Nire-review nila siguro or dapat nilang reviewin yung procurement laws. S.J. Mendoza versus Carpio, Feast of Intellectual Prowess, between a man driven by what the law expresses and one blinded by bias. But former Justice Carpio is not representing anyone. Sabi ni Rolando Plaza, PRID is still the best president for me. I hope the next president will not waste the momentum. Ma'am Ying says, I think majority of those who speak badly of BG and PRRD are just false kasi DBS or BBM Sara are above all that. Yes. Or at least they know how to, kumbaga, if merong issue, then nasasabi nila without necessarily having to be nasty, di ba? Sabi ni Fredo, in case madiki si BBM, siguro biglang aangat si Parlado niyan. Siya lang ang pwedeng pumalit sa aligned kay PRRD. Excuse me, what about Ernie Abella? Ako, I would prefer Ernie Abella over General Parlado right now. Erlindo 60 Vlog says, yung mga bulag at bingi sa katotohanan dahil ang gusto lang nila puro kabig na lang sa totoo lang sa edad kong 62, dami nang maging Pangulo nagdaan. Bukod kay Marcos, si Tatay Digong lang madami nagawa. Thank you, ma'am. Attorney Trix, sana matulungan natin si Attorney Larry para manalong senador at si Kong Marcoleta. Bakit nyo naman ina-assume na hindi natin tinutulungan? Co-host ko yan. BJ Cans, complete na po bang lineup ng mga senators? Kakausapin ba natin yung iba, di ba? Sir Bongo's confirmation na umatras, I considered it useless and nothing. Omnibus election code should be followed. He should file in the COMELEC for his withdrawal to be considered as confirmed. And COMELEC to announce Bongo's withdrawal, he's still considered in the presidential race. Yes, but it can be also, it's his option to do that. To just stop campaigning and not file his withdrawal and say, I don't care, ayoko na. Rafa Gerd, Gerald, anesthesiologist from NYC. Wow. May pasok pa ako ng maaga. Nagkaka-insomnia ako, pakikinig ako. Naku, sir, baka may ano pa kayo bukas or mamaya. Eto, sabi ni Ma'am Ying, appear, attorney, kasi si Abelia knows how to be more, to be diplomatic, I suppose, more than Parlade. Opo, we like General Parlade, but if I was going to choose an alternative, let's just say, alternative lang then it would be Ernie Abella. Diba? Tingnan mo, in spite of what has happened to him, he has been marginalized in the administration and all that, not a single bad word from him. Always, parating may diplomasya. And yet I have worked with him and I found him very intelligent and strategic in his thinking. My mom sa Southern Leyte, BBM and Sarah will pass today. Nakaabang sila sa kalsada. Oh my goodness, dapat pala. Lumabas kayo. Lumabas ka na ngayon, baka dumaan sila. Sabi ni Ian, basta ako, solid, liquid gas, and plasma, kasutil ng Luminous. Gel. CNN Philippines reported that BBM shows document to prove that he has a record of compliance to satisfy 1997 Court of Appeals decision. O nga, di ba, sinasabi niya natin na final pala niya with the Court of Appeals, not with the RTC. So, wala din siyang need to file further compliance unless sasabihin ng RTC, oh, BBM, file din kayo dito. In which case, hindi pa siya late. Gail is asking if Attorney Glenn Chong is running. He's not running. Bakit hindi pa po nagpa-drug test sila Lenny and Bong Go? Because drug test is not required. Magpapa-drug test lang yung ibang mga candidates as a show of transparency. But it is not a rule. So huwag niyo pong hanapin yung drug test because it's not required. Sabi ni Isabel Torres, okay po Sir Abelia, pero sa sobrang hinhin magsalita, parang kahit galit na di pa rin halata ko. Oy, hindi nyo kilala yan. Yung mga kasi, di ba pastor si Sir Ernie? Malakas ang boses niyan. Mabait lang talaga siya. Sabi ni Jomel, ito, mahirap na desisyon to. Majestic, Excelente, o Adelina? Ako, Emperor. Although I am partial to Majestic, di ko pa po titikman yung Adelinas. Okay, last two. Sabi ni Lorna, Orkia, 1:27 na, nawala antok ko sa information ninyo. Ma'am, kailangan niyo yata pong matulog. Si Josephine, sabi niya, palitan na po mga senador natin, please, sana bagong mukha naman, kahit hindi gaanong matalino, basta't may puso para sa bayan. Yun. That's a good note to end on. So, wag po natin kakalimutan mga ano ba tawag dito? Luminaries. Mga sutil, huwag niyo pong kakalimutan. As much as possible, let's vote new faces into the Senate and into Congress. Maliban lang if they have had good track records, mga hindi nagpapa-investigation in aid of legislation na wala namang katuturan and so on. Let's do it the Duterte way, diba? Let's vote for new people. Let's take a chance on new people. Or people coming, kunwari, si Kong Marcoleta, not exactly new, but let's put a new face in the Senate. Finally, Edmundo Rodriguez says, ano po masasabi mo dun sa pananakot ni Sereno po na kung sino daw po yung magbibintang kay Chris na kinuha daw yung pintas ni Madam Imelda na kakasuhan daw po. Well, it will be up to Chris. Kasi kung libel yan, dapat si Chris ang mag-file ng kaso. Nobody can file the case for her. So, medyo kulang po yung sinabi ni Atty. Serrano. Okay? Sabi ni Gail, it's correct, it's not in our Omnibus Election Code, the 1978 Election Code of the Philippines about this drug test. Okay? Maraming salamat sa inyong lahat sa pagsubaybay dito sa amin sa Luminous. Maraming salamat sa lahat ng mga nasa super chat natin at saka super stickers. Thank you very much. Pati po yung mga hindi makapag-super chat at super stickers dahil hindi ito available sa inyo. I'll see if I can activate the ones on Facebook. Maraming salamat. Have a good weekend, everybody. Pahinga kayo. May karambola sa Monday. Salamat sa inyong lahat.